Should I stay or should I go? That is the question that I asked myself for many, many, many years. I was married for 27 years and I chose to get divorced because I had been unhappy for such a long time. And the ironic thing was, I was a therapist, licensed professional counselor, marriage and family systems, and my specialty was couples, helping couples heal their marriages, and yet I couldn't fix my own. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Dawn Richard, and this was the question that I struggled with for so many years of my marriage. Here I am, a relationship expert, and I helped a lot of couples heal their marriages, and yet I couldn't fix my own. And trust me, it wasn't because I didn't try. We went to therapy as a couple for 4 times in our 27 years of marriage. And people say, well, when did you know that it wasn't working? And actually, before we even got married, we went to this engaged encounter, and I told him, I'm concerned about your anger issues. I'm concerned because I've seen the way that you blow up at people and get frustrated and angry and, spew all this stuff on them. And I'm worried that it's going to cause problems in our marriage. And he reassured me and said, it will never be directed towards you, I promise, blah, 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 blah. And of course, that wasn't the case. And so not only did I have to deal with his anger issues, I had to deal with some addictive tendencies that he had. And they were, well, I'll just tell you, he used to watch a lot of porn. And it got in the way of our intimacy. And he used to gamble a lot online. And it caused some financial problems for us. And so I had to deal with a lot of issues that probably many of you are dealing with. Probably you are dealing with a lot of these issues, and you're wondering, should I stay or should I go? And you've probably asked yourself that question many, many times. I know that in my own marriage, I cried hundreds of times in my 27 years of marriage. And they weren't, some of them were for tears of joy. We have 3 beautiful children. And I'm super grateful and appreciative and thankful that they're in my life. But for the other times when I felt like he was not treating me with kindness, respect, honor, consideration, many times it was all about him and his needs and his job and his career and what he wanted to do. And granted, I did go to school and get my master's degree, so he was supportive of that. And I had my kids during the time that I went to school, and so he was supportive of that. But many times in my marriage, I felt like I sacrificed what I wanted in order to accommodate his needs. From his perspective, he had more earning potential. He had more, he was the head of the household, and not that I was lesser than that, but for some reason, his needs were more important than my needs. And so that, along with his inability to express his anger in healthy and constructive ways, there was a lot of verbal, I call it verbal vomit, really is what it was. He's frustrated and it just goes bleh, projecting all over me. And that is not fun to be the recipient of that. And so I'm sure if you're watching this, you're probably struggling with that question, should I stay or should I leave? And so many times when you're married, people stay together for all sorts of reasons. Usually the top one is our kids. For the sake of our kids, I'll put up with this stuff. I will sacrifice and continue to not be fulfilled and not feel happy and close and intimate with my partner, even though we may have sex. But so many times people stay together for the kids. And yet the kids are the recipients of the energy of disconnection and discontent and discord and argument and tension. I remember when we finally told our kids that we were getting divorced, one of my sons said, are you kidding? And we said, no, of course not. We're not wouldn't kid about something like that. And he said, I just thought that the way that you and Dad fought was normal. I thought that all couples did that. And I said, that may be true. A lot of couples do argue and fight and fuss, but the ways that you do it when it's healthy and constructive and loving, and you come to a sense of resolution where you both feel like you're on the same team and you're working together for a common goal. And with us, we fought and there was very little resolution. There was more frustration. There was more a sense of, this hasn't worked. What makes you think it's going to work now? And so there was this lack of camaraderie. There was this lack of, we'll figure this out together. I know that many times in our marriage, he said, this isn't working, let's just get divorced. And I would say, can you please stop saying that? It makes me feel insecure. Well, it's just words. They're just words. I'm frustrated. And I said, yeah, but your words carry an energy, and that energy is hurtful to me. So even when we went to therapy 4 different times, I would say to the therapist, can you please talk to him about not saying these kind of things that make me feel insecure, that make me feel like every time we argue, you're going to get up and walk out. And I mean, he didn't. He usually wouldn't. I mean, there were a few times where he started to pack a suitcase and leave, and then I would cry and say, let's work this out. It's gonna work out. But these are the things that erode a sense of safety and trust. These are the things that make you feel insecure. These are the things that make you feel like you're not on the same team. And especially when somebody is carrying a lot of emotional baggage from the past. Because we all do. We all carry these experiences, whether it's from our family of origin, whether it is from a previous boyfriend or girlfriend, partner, that they hurt us in certain ways, whether it was emotionally, psychologically, sometimes physically, sometimes sexually. We're hurt and traumatized, and for some reason we stay. We stay out of a sense of obligation. We stay out of a sense of, I made a commitment. We stay out of a sense of, we'll figure this out. We'll stay out of a sense of, maybe this is just my lot in life. We stay out of a sense of, maybe I don't deserve better than what I'm getting. So many ways that we doubt ourselves in relationships. So many ways that we dishonor who we are. Everybody deserves happiness. Everybody deserves joy in their life. Everybody deserves peace in their life. Everybody deserves to be in communion and community with people that make you feel safe, that make you feel loved and cared for and honored and cherished and respected and supported and encouraged. And when you're not getting those things, and you are left feeling completely empty, completely alone, completely powerless and helpless in your relationship. I mean, I'm a strong woman. I've been through a lot in my life, and I've just felt like, well, I'm strong. I can figure this out. I can take this. And so if you're watching this, you're probably one of those women. I can figure it out. I can take care of myself. I can do it on my own. I can protect my kids. I can be the peacemaker. I can make all the sacrifices, all the ways that we don't honor ourselves, all the ways that we build a wall around us, a wall of protection around our heart because we've been hurt so many times. And you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need to be controlled. You don't need anybody to tell you what's right for you, because you are the judge of that. You are the person that says this feels good or this doesn't feel good. And even I remember him saying, you're too sensitive. You take things too personally. And yes, I am sensitive, and that's what I think attracted you to me, or me to you. You liked the fact that I had a close-knit family. You liked the fact that I had this beautiful support network in my family. And you wanted the same thing for your family because you didn't grow up with a close-knit family. You grew up with lots of independent people, lots of fighting, or the silent treatment, which I ended up getting a lot of that in my marriage as well, the silent treatment. And then at the end of the silent treatment, there was no resolution. There were no apologies. There was no sense of, I'm really sorry, let's reconnect. It was more like silent treatment and then pretending like nothing ever happened and okay, well, let's have sex. And that for me was not, it didn't feel good. I felt used. I felt used. I felt like you're not meeting me and meeting my needs and encouraging me and supporting me, and then you just want me to have sex with you. Like, ugh, that doesn't feel good at all. So should I stay or should I go? I'm not here to tell you what you should do, because no one can tell you what you should do. Only you can decide what you choose to do, what you want to do. And maybe what you want to do and what you choose to do are two different things right now, which for me, for a long time, that was the case. I didn't feel like I was being honored in the way that he promised when we got married. And my parents really love me, and I have a lot of good friends who really love me. And they would say, you deserve to be treated better. You deserve to be treated with kindness. You deserve to be treated with respect and consideration and encouragement and support. And your needs are as important as his needs. And so if you are doubting all of those things, I completely understand. And I'm here to tell you that there's a different way of being. And you can choose to stay. Many people choose to stay for the rest of their lives. But for me, I decided I didn't want to spend the rest of my life imprisoned with a person who did not appreciate me, who took me for granted, who, treated most of the people in the outside world much nicer than he treated me in our home. And I didn't want my 3 children to think that the way that their dad treated me, for my 2 boys, the way their dad treated me was the way that they should treat a woman. And for my daughter, for sure, I did not want her to be treated by a man like the way that my former husband treated me. So I made that very, very difficult decision to leave my marriage. Even though I got married in the Catholic Church, took sacred vows, I took them as very sacred, and I took my commitment very seriously. And I'm a therapist helping lots of couples heal their marriages. And yet I couldn't fix my own. But the one thing, well, 2 things that I learned. One, I needed to value myself more than I valued the marriage container, because the marriage container was not valuing me. The marriage container, even though I know that he loved me, he was not valuing me and appreciating me and acknowledging me for all of the gifts that I brought to the marriage table and to our family. And so that first. And then the second thing is that I wanted peace. I wanted peace. There was a lot of stress and chaos and tension in our house, and all 3 of my children along the way, a few years back, right before we told them we were getting divorced, they all suffered emotional and physical problems. They had physical and emotional issues. They all 3 went to therapists. They all went and had medical things to take care of their physical ailments, because when we carry that stress and tension inside of ourselves, it turns into dis-ease. It affects us on a cellular level. And so perhaps you have experienced some physical ailments or dis-ease in your marriage. And perhaps you have suffered psychologically, emotionally, again, physically or sexually. And especially if you've been physically or sexually assaulted, you need to find a safe place away from the person who's hurting you. The emotional and psychological trauma is actually, some people say it's easier to deal with, but even a lot of people who've been physically assaulted say the scars can heal, but the emotional and psychological stuff is harder to manage and to process. And so I'm here to tell you that you deserve peace in your life. You deserve to feel loved and cared for, even if it's not with him or her, in case you're watching. But you deserve peace. You deserve to be loved and cared for. And if you're not receiving that, you're not on the receiving end of that in your marriage or partnership, then perhaps you need to make a different choice for yourself. And so I'm super grateful. Trust me, this has been a hard journey getting to the other side of this, but it's worth it. My peace, I mean, I have friends that I just reconnected with recently that they had seen me in the midst of my marital mess. And they said, oh my gosh, Dawn, you look so much happier. You look like you're so at peace and you have so much joy in your life. So many things have happened as a result of my choice to leave. Struggles too, but no more struggle than I was dealing with in my own marriage. So should I stay or should I go? It's a really tough decision, and nobody can make that choice for you. Only you can. But you are responsible for your life. No one else is responsible for the way that you live your life. You are responsible for the way you live your life. And that's what I was going to say. The second thing is that I wanted to teach my kids that the way that they treat people, they are responsible for that. You can blame, you can point your fingers, you can blame and say, well, if you hadn't done this, then I wouldn't do this, or I wouldn't react this way. But we're in charge of ourselves. No one else can make us yell or scream or act crazy or, do these various things that are hurtful in relationship. So you take responsibility for you. This is your life. This is your life. Nobody knows if you have another life to live. We all have projections and guesses, but this is your life. And what kind of legacy do you want to leave your children at the end of your life? What kind of person do you want to become? When people say your obituary, or when they say after you die, what are they going to say about you? Like, oh, she put up with a lot, or oh my gosh, she made a really hard decision and she ended up living her best life. So many things on the other side of divorce, the separation, the heartache, the healing process. It's a journey. But on the other side of that is peace, a sense of joy, a sense of me being more who I am, the woman that I was created to be, the person that I was created to be. And so now on this other side, I feel like I have unlimited possibilities and potential, which I always knew I had. But when I was in the midst of my marital stress, I felt really withdrawn and limited and trapped and hopeless and powerless and helpless. And so if you're watching this, you're probably experiencing a lot of those same lower vibration, negative energies. And there's hope for you. There's hope for you. So should I stay or should I go? Continue to ask yourself the question. I had to ask myself the question for years. Obviously, I stayed married for 27 years, even though I've probably been questioning it for at least 10 or 12 years before that. So you make the decision that honors you. You make the decision that best that best helps you to live your best life. I mean, I want to become the best version of myself. And I know in my marriage, I was not the best version of myself. And a lot of that responsibility falls on me, but a lot of it was impacted by the way that my partner treated me, by the way that my husband treated me. So I'm here to help uplift and inspire and support and encourage you to do what honors you. The most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. So start there and get quiet and figure out what's going to honor you the most in the long run and give you a sense of peace and possibility. I am sending you so much love because I feel this. I feel this. It's a really, really challenging road, and I'm 3 years out. I've been divorced almost 3 years, and still sometimes it hits me because it's a grieving for the loss of my hopes and dreams of what I wanted for my marriage and my family. But I didn't, ultimately receive that. So I made the most difficult choice of my life, and I chose to get divorced. And now I'm here to help you figure out how to get to the other side, regardless of whether or not you stay or go, but to get to the other side of peace and healing and a sense of worthiness, and safety and trust in yourself, and knowing that you deserve the love you desire. So, big hugs and lots of love. Hang on to yourself and hang on to the hope for you and the rest of your life. What you want to become, who's the woman you want to become, who's the person you want to become, what's the example you want to set for your kids, what's the legacy you want to leave in this world. So much love, sending you a big hug, and I hope this is helpful for you. If you want to get a hold of me, you can contact me on Instagram at The Awakening with Dawn, The Awakening with Dawn. I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook as Dawn Richard, Rishard. Please feel free to send me a message, send me a DM. I do one-on-one coaching and group coaching, and I have a few online courses that I'm getting ready to launch. And I know there are so many people who struggled like I did, and I don't want you to struggle anymore. So, sending you a lot of love. Take care, and let me know how I can best support you. All right, take care. Lots of love to you. Bye-bye.